Bhakta Pada Jal, we all know the great story of this particular king who, the story of Kaliya. I have told this story many times, that how Kaliya had the great fortune to make Krishna dance upon his hoods. It's not very, very easy, for Krishna to come and put his lotus feet upon anybody's head. So, what great activity did this Kaliya do actually? So, that story is explained in the Padma Purana. It is said that in his previous life, this Kaliya was a very, very powerful king, but he had a lot of, stomach issues. He had a very weak stomach. So one day Narad Muni visited him and said that, oh, my dear king, you have such, you are a very nice person, but, you are having this kind of suffering and you're not able to sit in one place. So, do one thing. There's one way that you can get rid of this disease. And that is that if you eat the flesh of these Kulinga birds, then you will be able to, get rid of this disease. So the king was very grateful to Narada, and, he offered obeisances to Narada and said, okay, thank you very much, my dear Narada Muni, for giving me this solution. I have tried so much, so many different things, but nothing seems to be working out. So I'll try this. And where can I find these Kulinga birds, by the way? So Narad Muni said that, just on the outskirts of your kingdom, this Kulinga birds, this special category of birds are there, and you can find them. So this king went in search of these Kulinga birds. And when the king went in the kingly attire and with his, soldiers, he went to the outskirts and he found that there were so many Kulinga birds. But when they went to catch the Kulinga birds, the birds flew away. So they were not able to catch them. So one of the ministers advised the king that, my dear king, why don't you wear the vastra of a sadhu? And just wear that kind of a cloth like a mendicant, and then just go and sit below a tree near those Kulinga birds. Then, the birds will not feel challenged by the sadhu. They will not be scared by the sadhu. And then you can slowly catch one of the birds. Let's trick the birds that way. So then the king said, okay, let me try that. So then he wore on this, cloth of a mendicant, and he went and sat under a tree and he started doing some meditation. And as soon as he did that, the birds, started feeling that, oh, this person is not harmful. It's not going to harm me. So all the birds came, flocking towards the king, and the king immediately caught one of the birds. But when the king caught one of the birds, and everyone was rejoicing that, oh, now the disease of the king will be, over. But the king, when it looked into the eyes of that little bird, and that bird looked up at the king said, no, I cannot do this. For my own selfish, motivation, I cannot kill a harmless living entity. I cannot do this. So as soon as this thought came in the king's mind, this Kulinga bird started speaking. This Kulinga bird started speaking and said that, oh, my dear king, you are very nice. You've got a very nice and soft heart. So I will give you the way that you can get rid of this disease. Go into the forest through this path, and once you go near that, enter into the middle of the forest, you will see that there is a small little hut over there, and that there is a, very, very powerful rishi, a yogi who's sitting there. And if you just wash the lotus feet of that, that sadhu, and if you drink that water, then your disease will immediately be vanquished. You'll be free of the disease. So this king was very happy, and he thanked the Kulinga bird, and he went into the forest, and then he saw that there was indeed a sadhu who was sitting there. And the sadhu, he was sitting with one of his legs down. with his right leg down. He was sitting there, but his feet, it had, it was very much diseased. His foot was very diseased. There was, like, pus and blood coming out of that foot. It was looking very diseased. So, although the king came there to serve the sadhu and to wash the lotus feet of the sadhu, but the king, saw that and he said, "Oh no, how can I wash this feet? But then because I have to drink the water from this feet, how can I do that? It looks very ghastly. No, I can't do that." So then he requested the sadhu that, "My dear Sadhu Baba, can you please put your left foot down?" So the Sadhu Baba put his left foot down, and the left foot was worse than the right one. There were even worms that were there in that foot. So now it doesn't look nice that, okay, now I'll go back to the right foot. If the king would say that, it would become very not proper etiquette. So the king, he had to wash the left foot of the sadhu and then collected it on a little vessel. But there was blood, there was worms roaming around. So the king said, "No way I'm going to drink this water. It's going to be very troublesome for me to drink this water. So I don't mind living my entire life with this disease." And he just sprinkled it over his head. And because of that reason, he, it was very ghastly, and that's why he could not drink that water. So that's the reason why, his head actually became purified. Purified to such an extent that Krishna put his lotus feet upon that head. So Bhakta Pada Jal, so glorious is to just, imagine if that water was sprinkled on his head. He became so glorious that Krishna put his lotus feet on his head. If we drink the water, that has washed the lotus feet of Krishna, that has washed the lotus feet of the devotees, then how much purified we will get. So that is one great strength in bhakti, Bhakta Pada Jal.